Madam Clerk, we're ready to go?
Yes, we are live and ready.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's see. Call this meeting to order, the City Council on October 9th at 6:02 p.m. Roll call, we have Peyton. Is she just running late?
She is running late, correct?
Keithley.
Here.
Sweat.
Here.
Rojas here. Kennedy.
Here.
I'm sorry, Kennedy.
Here.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And Swick, is she excused or is she joining us?
No, I'm here, unfortunately.
Okay, great. Great. Okay,
We appreciate that.
absolutely. All right, and if I could have our city manager or city clerk lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, item number or letter C, excuse absences, we have none. Tonight on item D, agenda approval.
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, and all those in favor, Keithley.
Aye.
Sweat.
Aye.
Rojas, aye. Kennedy
Aye.
and Swick.
Aye.
Motion passed. We have the agenda for tonight. Item E, the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and one vote. A council member may request to remove an item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. We have item 1, which is the approval of the minutes from our regular meeting of September 25th, 2023. We have no ordinances. We have resolution A, resolution 24-08. Does this whole thing need to be read? Yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay, resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing acceptance of the Village Safe Water VSW Capital Improvement Project Planning Grant in the amount of $125,000 and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. Item 3B, resolution 24-09, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, authorizing acceptance of the Village Safe Water Capital Improvement Project Construction Grant for the Seldovia Sluice Sewer Improvement Project in the amount of $3,932,000 and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. Item C, resolution 24-10, a resolution of the City of Seldovia of Alaska, authorizing the acceptance of Village Safe Water Capital Improvement Project Construction Grant for the wastewater treatment facility improvements project in the amount of $1,573,500 and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. That's some hefty resolutions. If any member of the council would like to remove any item, we can. Otherwise, I'll look for a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
can
ma'am.
I have questions about the last one, 24-10?
Yes.
So can that be removed or however that needs to happen?
Actually, I would ask for clarification. Can a question be asked, City Clerk, about this right now, or does it need to be removed and discussed at another time?
Sorry, through the city manager or through the chair, if there's just a few minor questions, that's a small discussion can take place now, but if there needs to be more of a comment period and a longer discussion, then it's recommended it be removed and placed as its own item.
Okay, Jen, why don't you try your question? We'll make a decision on what the question is once you ask it.
Well, I'm guessing it needs to be removed. Did we ever come up with what was going to happen? Option was picked for this? Obviously, it's way more than $1 million either way.
Thank you through the chair, Madam Chair. Yes, Councilmember Spick. The council did request option 5, which was the new sewage lagoon. And you're right, we requested 15 million, and this is only 1.5 million. The 1.5 is just for the initial design, and the initial construction of the project. So that will be, this portion of money will go towards that final decision of what the project will look like in its design. And then there's rolling funds that will accompany it afterwards as the project continues along.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Is that okay, Jen?
Yeah,
Okay. All right, so we will move for an motion for the consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I second.
All right, all those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas, I, Kennedy,
Aye.
and Swift.
I,
Motion passed, consent agenda. Item F, mayoral proclamations, we have none. Item G, public presentation prior notice. Looks like we have none. Item H, oh,
Acting Mayor Rojas, we do have Walt Sonnen here
Oh,
for an update.
okay, great, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
sorry, we're gonna do that under committee and advisory board reports.
Okay, all right. All right, item H, public presentation items not on the agenda. Public has 3 minutes each. Do we have anyone?
No, we do not have anyone at this time.
Okay. Go on to item I, which is committee and advisory board reports. This is where Walt Sonnen will come in.
Yeah, hello. I haven't shown my face here in a couple of months. I was up the road for medical reasons for 2 months. And I did attend a couple of CIRCAC meetings along the way, and having read the minutes from your last meeting, I understand that you were presented with a kind of a synopsis of what went on at one of those meetings. I attended part of that meeting electronically, and the rest I couldn't attend, but the only thing I have to say about that meeting is that the Coast Guard has once every 3 years, and again this year, changed their chain of or commander. And this person is a captain in the Coast Guard, and his title, her title in Cook Inlet is captain of the port. And so this person is in a position to command all Coast Guard stuff that goes on within the Cook Inlet area. And this has occurred like the 3rd or 4th time since I've sat as your representative to CIRCAC. And this new fellow really impressed me. His name is Captain Christopher Culpepper, and his resume just sounded very impressive. And he replaces the outgoing captain of the port, Captain Leanne Lusk, who just retired. And it seems that the last 3 captains of the port, after their service as the captain of the port, have retired. And all 3 of those people have stayed in Cook Inlet and assumed other positions within the maritime industry. So I thought that was very interesting. I did attend in person a CIRCAC committee meeting. I'm a part of the props committee, which is, I have to remember, the preparation, response, operation, and safety committee. And that was held locally, well, in Kenai. And there was a presenter there, which was for me, the meat of the meeting. And I understand that at your last meeting, there was a person that came down from the borough LEPD, is that correct? In your minutes from the last meeting, was there a presenter from the
Office
what,
of
emergency
Management.
management
Mhm.
thing from the borough?
Yes.
Well, we got the same thing at our meeting, and I thought that was very interesting. But so much of the meetings that I go to are like all meetings, I guess, lots of technical stuff and budget stuff and that type of thing. But let's see, I'll put on my other hat. I am the president of the SOS response team, and we had an exercise last Saturday, which went not as expected, but went well. We always learn stuff when we make mistakes. And this was across the Oasis Lagoon. And we put out one long string of boom, which was intended to be a diversionary tactic, not to capture oil, but to send it more out into the bay so that it wouldn't get inside of Owens Lagoon. And theoretically, at that time, there was someone out in the bay collecting the oil with a boom and a skimmer and that type of thing, kind of free oil recovery. Let's see. I'm impressed. I like the two screens here. It feels like I'm more within the meeting as I'm crooking my neck around in this position as a what part of the audience, I guess. Well, anyway, that's about all I have to say. Does anybody have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Walt from the council first?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if you can answer it, Walt, but I read the newsletters that we get from the ones that are in the library, that talk about the boats and the tugs and everything over in Valdez and how they're doing just in general. And sometimes a lot of folks aren't real happy with what's going on and how they're exercising and making sure that, nothing happens. What's the story with that? Do you know? I don't know if I'm being clear, but is everything going good with the new tugs on board, I guess, with Alyeska and all that?
Well, I'm your representative for the Cook Inlet.
Oh, the Cook Inlet. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Advisory board. So I don't have a whole lot of knowledge.
Yeah, sorry. I thought one time we were talking about that Valdez thing, but I must be mistaken. So sorry about that. Anyway, thanks for your report. Even though I had it screwed up.
No, that's all right.
Anyone else on council? Otherwise, we'll go to the public. Anybody has a comment or question for Walt Sonnen?
All right, thank you.
Cindy, did I see your hand up or was that up for
Yes.
another reason?
It's not really a question for Walt, but it's more of a comment on the exercise that we did and a Saturday ago, and also previous exercises. The Sea Otter Recovery Center is where we mobilize a lot of equipment, and there's a gate on the side facing the Church Beach boat ramp. It has 3 signs on it saying, "Do not block this gate." And we always have boats on trailers that are blocking that gate. I don't know if that's a city property. If it is, I just wanted to mention that to everyone here, that could be a serious issue if we needed to mobilize equipment for an actual spill, those boat trailers would be in the way. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Cindy, thank you for bringing up that point. Walt, thank you as always for your great report that you give us prior to today, last time, but thank you very much. Okay, any other committee advisory reports?
No, not at this time.
Okay, item J, administrative reports, we have none. Item K, public hearings, we have K1, ordinance 24-03, an ordinance of the city of Seldovia, the city council of Seldovia, Alaska, repealing Seldovia Municipal Code Title 15 entitled Harbors and Boat Moorage, and reenacting Title 15 entitled Port and Harbors to substantially update and clarify vessel impoundment procedures and proper use of harbor facilities. And I'll leave that to our city manager.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a project that came up, I think a few years ago. We've been working with our attorney Holly Wells through Horton and yeah, I'll let her introduce her company. This project's been done in conjunction with our harbor master, and both Holly and harbor master Janet Peterson are here to speak more to it. So I'll leave it over to them.
Are they there in person?
Yes,
Can
they
you-
are here in person.
I am here in person. Yes, hello. I'm not really sure where to wave, but I'll wave at both screens. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the purpose of this ordinance was the harbor master, city manager, were looking at code provisions that were in a lot of ways outdated, both under state law and under common practice, and the reality of the uses of the specific docks and harbor facilities, and also more globally for the port of Seldovia, the greater port, and the police powers that come with the position of harbor master that goes to the preservation, conservation, and protection of the port itself, which includes both private and public property. And so there are these very specific rules and regulations that apply to the docks and apply to the infrastructure that is owned by the city, but there's also this larger responsibility that befalls the city. And so the code as written, it had a Port and Harbor Commission that actually doesn't exist, and it had impoundment and penalty provisions that the state adopted rules and laws, and when was that, 2019 or thereabouts, that actually conflicted and contradicted with the code. And so the purpose of this code provision was to make it clean and clear, to create chapters that were easy to follow for the public so that they could find what are the prohibitions, what am I allowed to do, what am I not allowed to do, to adopt definitions that made it clear what was being governed and talked about, to create consistency with both the state law and practice. In your packet, you have the ordinance, but because it was such a massive overhaul, we did a repeal and reenactment. And with a repeal and reenactment, the goal is to get all of the red line out of there so you can actually see the language that's going to govern. But we also provided a very user unfriendly red line so that somebody who does want to follow each and every change has the ability to do that. But I will tell you, they have the ability to do that. I personally cannot follow the change because it's just so much, we're moving whole sections into other areas. So for that reason, we also provided a memo that really tried to talk about the most substantive and substantial changes that would impact the public and the city and council when you're weighing your decision on what you want to do or what you want to see. That memo provides hopefully a little extra insight. So I'm here to answer questions. I thought it would be good to come in person. One, I really wanted to see the facilities that we were drafting these rules regarding, but also, I wanted to be here to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you. Anyone on council have a question for our guests? Got a question or comment?
I have a comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
I spent quite a bit of time this afternoon reading this, and I found it to be kind of overwhelming and daunting. I mean, there's a lot here. I don't personally see anything that troubles me. I did see a couple spelling errors, and I didn't have the document printed, so maybe we can run back through that. But other than that, I'm in favor with moving on here. And I rely on Layla she knows what her business practices need to be pretty much, and we'll go from there. Thanks for
Thank
all
you,
the good work.
Thank you, John. Anyone else on council? If not, I would just like to say, yeah, I looked over the document. I think this is a document that we need to clean up for quite some time. And my question would actually go to Layla, who deals with this all the time. What do you think, Layla?
I like it.
Is that good? Is it?
No, I think this will be much more user friendly for all parties.
And dealing with impounded vessels, that was such a problem over the years. So is this document going to take care of that, make it cleaner and clearer for everyone now?
Yes, this surely will.
Great. Great. Yeah, I looked it over and it's a lot of work. And I agree, I can't get over all that red stuff. Yeah, I think this is an ordinance that the city can support. I definitely can support it. Thank you very much for all your work. Anyone else on council have a question or comment about ordinance 24-03 to our guests? Hearing none. Go to the audience. Is there anyone in the audience who has a question or comment?
Yes, we have Mr. Walt Sonnen.
Okay, does he have a mic? There we go.
Yes, Holly, thank you. I didn't understand your position, or who are you employed by?
Well, it's sort of an interesting story. I mean, not my position, but how I came to work with Seldovia on this project. My name is Holly Wells. I'm a partner at Birch, Horton, Bittner, and Chiro. I lead our municipal law practice group and I sort of have I guess I would say a passion for dealing with derelict vessels and changes in our port and harbor laws, including changes in how we deal with impoundment of vessels and what we do as our vessels get closer to reaching their end of life. And so I participate in the Alaska Port Administrators and Harbors Association. And during the conference 2 years ago, one of the auction items among many very shiny objects that were personally wonderful for harbor masters, there was a certificate to look over a code and provide pro bono, so some free legal work on just sort of giving a community an idea of where those inconsistencies were. And instead of getting a new fleece or something shiny, your harbor master got the certificate for legal services for your community. So that is how I come to be here and how we started working on this project. And when Heidi came on, I think we really sort of catalyzed us to really get to a finished product for you. So you're going into the winter with a clean coat.
So is this a one size fits all thing? Could I go to another city and see the word for word the same ordinances put into place?
No, but I love your questions. They're all so good. Okay, so I wanted to have a base for your code. And so we used in the late 1990s, the Harbor Master Association had a model code it created. And that was in like 1996, which granted that code is great because it gives us some definitions. They came up with some liability language that is daunting when you see it, but provides protections and went through sort of that insurance arm of the legal profession. So we use that as your skeleton. And then we know many of your definitions and terms are going to be mirrored in other communities, which creates consistency for users. But then we tailored many of the provisions to Seldovia, and that's what was missing from your code previously. So we looked at how you use your facilities, how to use your docks, where are they? What kind of problems do we have with usage or enforcement, penalties, impoundments? What kind of vessels are we looking at? What kind of auction procedure actually makes sense for you? What does your notice look like? So it was very tailored to you. And it is not one size fits all, but we came up with a plan that I actually have utilized in Whittier as well. They are one of my longstanding clients, starting with sort of a similar frame and then moving on and adjusting that frame to fit that specific community.
Okay, well, thank you for the explanation.
Anyone else in the public?
No, we don't have anybody else at this time.
Okay. Well, thank you, Layla, for choosing this gift box instead of another thing for us. Anyone else? We'll take it back to council for action. If the council is ready for a motion on ordinance 24-03.
Make a motion.
Madam, go ahead. Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
make a motion to approve ordinance 2403 as read here.
Okay, thank you. And a second.
Second.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Kennedy, a second by Sweat. And is Peyton with us yet?
She has joined online.
Okay. Is she there? I'll call her name for a vote. Peyton? I'll come back to her. Keithley?
Aye.
Sweat?
Aye.
Rojas, aye. Kennedy?
Aye.
Swick?
Aye.
Peyton, are you there?
I'm here. Aye.
Okay. All right, motion is approved. Thank you. Let's see, item L, unfinished business, we have none. Item M, resolution, what happened to my thing? There we go. Resolution 24-11, certificate of results of the election, October 3rd, 2023. City Clerk?
Thank you. So we have the unofficial tally for the results from our election on October 3rd, 2023. And we have canvassed with the board on Friday, the absentee and question ballots, and we now have 13 ballots to open and count. So
Greg, can you turn it back on?
okay. Our first ballot for mayor, one for Campbell. For council, one for Langford, one for Peyton. we have one for Campbell. And for council, one for Langbart, one for Peyton. And for mayor, we have one for Campbell. For council, one for Langbart. One for Peyton. And for mayor, we have one for Campbell. And for council, one for Langbart and one for Peyton. No tallies yet.
Coming up.
For mayor, one for Campbell.
Ally,
And for council, one for Langbart,
Ally,
one for Peyton.
Ally.
For mayor, one for Campbell. For council, one for Barber. For mayor, one for Campbell. For council, one for Barber. For mayor is blank. City council, one for Langbart, one for Peyton. Mayor is blank. City council, one for Langbart, one for Peyton. For mayor, one for Campbell. For city council, one for Langbart. And one is for a write-in with a blank name.
So that is not a valid vote for the write-in.
I couldn't hear that. I'm sorry.
The write-in vote was blank. There was no name next to it, so it's being considered not a valid vote for write-in.
Okay, thank you.
And for mayor, one for Campbell. One for Langbart for council. And one for Peyton. And for mayor, one for Campbell. For council,
Ally,
one for council. We have one for Langbart. One for Peyton. And for mayor, we have one for Campbell. And for council, one for Peyton. That is our final ballot.
Good.
Do our totals agree, judges?
So far. Those two, okay. Okay. We all agree? Let me read off that. Sure. Okay, we're going to read off the final votes for the 2023 October 3rd election. For mayor, Jeremiah Campbell, total of 45 votes. And then we have 2 write-ins. And then for Langvart, Maggie, we have a total of 42 votes. And then for Harmony Payton, total of 38 votes. And for Jack Barber, total of 19 votes. And that's the way it is.
Now we'll open up to the council for discussion.
Anyone on council? When they will be sworn in at our next meeting, is that correct? The new,
Prior to the next meeting.
okay, all right. Anyone on council have comment? So. Well, I would like to congratulate our new, well, our mayor, of course, good for him. And for our new 2 council members that we have, Peyton coming back and Meg's coming on board. And I'm gonna miss Bobby, but I'll leave my closings for our end of the night discussion. Appreciate you, Bobby. Anyone else on council have comments? And thank you, voting board, for helping us out. Election board. Okay, if there is no comments, then we can go to, I guess it's resolution. Resolution 24-11. If the council has no discussion on it, actually goes to public comment. Public presentation on the resolution. Is there anyone from the public has a comment?
There's no one from the public at this time to comment.
Then we'll go back to the council for an action item on resolution 24-11.
I'll make a motion to accept certificate of results of election October 3rd, 2023, resolution 2411.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by whom? I'm not sure who got the second. Keith Lee? Perhaps? Okay, I lost my screen here. Okay, we will vote on the resolution 24-11. Peyton,
Aye.
Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas, aye. Kennedy
Aye.
and Swick.
Aye.
Great, motion passed. Thank you, everyone. Okay, item 2. On M2 is resolution 24-12, resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, awarding contract to Dillon and Dillon Timber and Log Right LLC for the repair of the city office roof awning not to exceed $30,000 and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. And I'll turn that over to our city manager.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So as you may all be aware, when you come in to visit our city office, we have the lovely brace that our Public Works crew was able to implement this early summer, late spring, when the awning that it's holding up started to give away. It's that portion of the roof is the older portion. The building roof itself was replaced in 2016 when it did cave in on the building. And the entirety of the roof was replaced except for this awning portion that goes out over the deck. We do have the purlings on hand, but would still need to order material. And this resolution would allow us to proceed with a contract with Dillon and Dillon after trying to solicit bids from several contracting companies in town. Dillon and Dillon was the only response. They also performed the original repair on the roof in 2016, so they are familiar with our infrastructure. The cost estimate provided was about $7,000 for material, and that is that 0.22 gauge EAP span steel roofing, which is the material that we used before, and about $13,440 in labor. They're estimating 5 days labor for the project, and those costs do not include freight and equipment rentals. And there's also an additional portion of the project where the steel isn't coming pre-drilled. So we would either they would need to be able to do that, or operator Cameron. So that might be something he can facilitate. But in speaking with Dillon and Dillon, they felt comfortable that they could come in under the 30,000 mark. And that's our budget for the project, and hoping to get this done before the snow flies.
Thank you. Council, questions or comments for our city manager?
Just one question.
Yes, go
Bill,
ahead.
Pre-drilling the red steel or the sheeting? I never heard of sheeting being pre-drilled for roof sheeting.
Yeah, so we'll have to do it in-house. I'll have to double check on that. I'm not a
Yeah.
construction worker. I'll
Well,
double check.
I did steel construction. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I'm not, so I know something needs to be drilled.
Okay. I did see the purlins in the
Yes.
barns, so
Yeah.
that's cool.
We have them, and if I didn't mention that, I did do a little memo on page 3 of the laydown that talks about what I just spoke.
Yeah,
to.
yeah. No, I just was curious about the drilling. All the screws we used in the past had drill heads on them. So maybe it's different.
Thank you, John. Anyone else on council? Questions, comments? Well, I, for one, am happy that Dillon and Dillon came forward and are willing to do the work, and we can get this done before it makes serious damage or injury to somebody. So thank you for heading this up and getting it taken care of. And I'm excited to get it done for the city of Seldovia. And we ended up funding this in our FY24 budget, I believe. And so we put the money aside to take care of the work. Thank you. Anyone else from council comments before we go to the public? Okay, we'll go to the public. Anyone in the public would like to comment on resolution 24-12?
You have no one for public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. We'll go back to council for action on resolution 24-12.
I make a motion to approve resolution 24-12.
Second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Keenly, second by Kennedy for the motion. And we will vote all those in favor. Peyton? Peyton, are you there?
Hear me?
I can hear you now.
Can you? Okay, yeah, I.
Okay, thank you. Keithley,
Aye.
Sweat,
Aye.
Rojas, aye. Kennedy
Aye.
and Swift.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you very much. We are moving right on through tonight. Item N, city manager's report. We are there already.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
bet.
So well, I'll try to keep it short and sweet. The three main topics at the head of the report being we had a fun surprise visit from Governor Dunleavy 2 weeks ago. Members of his office and the DEC commissioner were scheduled to come to Seldovia for a quick visit. And it happened the night before that he had an opening in his schedule. So when I went to pick them up, he walked off the helicopter and we had the opportunity to entertain him and drive around the community, showed him the harbor really quick and the city dock, and went out to Jackloff. Had a lot of great conversation along the way. He was really interested and focused on what the community's needs are. Came back and met with some community members in this room, as well as invited Seldovia Village Tribe as part of the discussion. And we're able to have a few minutes just to follow up with him. And at the end, he asked that our organizations send in a request of priorities. And met with Crystal last week and talked about what some of those priorities are. Jackloff Bay Dock, which he walked on. It was a beautiful, calm day. So you look at it and it's like, oh, what, and he was like, what's wrong? What's wrong with this dock? And I was like, okay, let's take a walk. And as soon as you get on it, he's like, oh, and I was like, yes, and we have video. So he seemed receptive to that. Raw water transmission replacement project. I did not speak with Crystal on that one, but I was thinking about our CDS requests and needing some gap funding and what that looks like for a community, and that is a priority to have that done. City dock, that just being in regards to updates, and then the AMHS service and its importance to the community. We spoke about that a lot, and Councilmember Sweat was able to voice the importance of that service, as well as I had mentioned on our drive how important it is that when this Testamina replacement vessel comes on board, that it's still able to utilize our dock, and if not, that there's funding available to upgrade the dock so that we can continue receiving service. Broadband, I know is on the back of everybody's mind. The governor mentioned potentially some big game transplant, and that is something that Seldovia Village Tribe has been working on, performing some studies for the area, what that would mean for food source, would they survive, I think disease, just all the different things, what the impact it would be to bring animals in. And if the community is interested and the studies prove that it would be an all right situation for those animals and for the community, there is the real potential that we could bring in white-tailed deer or elk or both. So just going to see what that looks like. And then small boat harbor, of course, is always a priority, and affordable housing. So if you guys have any other priorities, or if you want anything removed or added, please let me know. But I'm going to work on drafting that letter this week. And then it'll be a joint letter between the two organizations. So maybe still a little bit of tweaking. Alaska State Fire Marshal inspection, we spoke about that happening prior to the previous meeting. We had a list of things to update for this building, most of them being very minor and have been completed, except for we have a few holes in our breaker box that we just need to, there's like little panels that we can put in them. The two big things were that we needed to have our fire alarm for this building inspected, and it has been done. This is going to be an annual expense moving forward. So we're just going to budget for it and then make sure it's on our list, like our fire extinguisher inspections and everything else that we do safety wise. That came in at $920, which was really affordable compared to some of the other quotes that I received. This company happened to be in Homer and was able to hop on a plane and come over. It took him less than 2 hours and he was back on a plane, and it worked really well with them. So we're hoping to be able to continue that into the future. The other bigger project was the rewiring of our Christmas tree outlet on the corner of the building. We have received one quote so far, and that was for about $700 plus travel. So about the same price as what it was for the inspection, but that'll be a one-time expense, and we'll keep you up to date on how that goes. Another update being our water service connection inventory. I know I've mentioned it at a few meetings, and that there's a requirement for us to inventory all of our connection services, specifically to ensure that we don't have lead. Operator Cameron has assured me that this is going to be fairly easy for our community because we know we don't have lead. We know that most of our lines are copper, except for the newer lines, which are HDPE. And he's got a pretty good handle on that. Additionally, our remote supervisor, Todd Cook, who works for the city of Homer for their public works, but in his spare time, he gets to be our remote supervisor. We're thankful for him. Is looking for a visit to come over. He's supposed to do that quarterly and come and check on the facility and meet with everybody. And he's in the process of doing this for the city of Homer and their 2,000 plus services, and said, no problem. He can come and spend a day or two and get ours wrapped up for us. So we're gonna hopefully take him up on that, work that out, and looking forward to it. Still kind of waiting to see, there's that grant funding, what that money looks like versus how much time we can have him on. But moving ahead on that project so far. Additionally, Todd will be here to help. Jordan's going to clean our clarifier, which needs done. And it's kind of an interesting project that we have both our remote operator, our remote operators through the state and Todd are interested in just being here and seeing how that process works. And then another update for water and sewer being that ARWA is still scheduled to be here later on, hopefully this month, to complete the Inside Beach sewer lift station repair. They'll help Jordan assist operator Cameron with that. So really, those are kind of the big updates. Smaller updates, outhouse and porta potty. Pumping has been pushed back to October 17th. They're going to come over on the ferry, pump and go back. They were scheduled on that last Sunday ferry, but because of the delay in ferry arrival, he wouldn't have had enough time to hit all of our locations. So we're going to try again for October 17th. NC Machinery was here last week and replaced the fuel tanks on the road grader. So that's a big win. Safe Streets and Roads for All program. I guess should be Safe Streets for All. So I'll fix that in the next one. Grant through KPB has been finalized and they're getting started on the project. City of Seldovia is going to provide a small match that was already approved by council to be part of this overall grant. It's an assessment for all of the roads in the whole borough. Pretty big deal. All the municipalities have signed on with a match based on their population and road size. Ours is very minimal. I can't remember, it was like $1,700. It was very minimal for the size of the project and overall product. They're right now looking at are requesting a one-pager from all the communities of what our must-haves are. Some people are looking at intersections, sidewalks, where schools intersect with roadways. I've heard from operator Cameron that a big one for us is evaluating where our platted roads are versus existing roads. I think sidewalks, I've heard from a few people are important to assess what that need is and, what we have now. Certainly intersections, post office, intersection, fuel and lube intersection, I can think of could be added to the list. But if you guys think of any others that are just must-haves that you want to make sure are assessed during this report, please let me know and I'll pass that along. Then update to our cybersecurity grant. Applications are currently in the review process. Once the review is complete, selections will be forwarded to FEMA and for their review and approval, and awards are expected to go out early next year. Hoping to hear back on that. Next commercial business district subcommittee is next week. Everything else is fairly status quo. And meeting with Crystals, spoke about the Thriving Communities Grant Program. That's a technical grant. And if that's something that we want to partner on, it does require a partnership, that grant, at least 2. And they can be all forms of partners, chambers, local artists, other organizations or governmental organizations. So just starting broad for the overall community to see if that's something that there's a project that we want to look at together. And then we can, go shoot off of there to see what we need moving forward. We've also had a great meeting with Rural CAP for the self-help program for affordable housing in the community. That's a really interesting program. They are on their last 9 or on a new set of 9 in the valley, or not in the valley, sorry, in the Kenai area. And they are recently moved and are doing some projects in Ketchikan and a few other communities they're working on starting up some housing. Requirements around that, and we can have a larger discussion at another time, being that you have to have families that are willing and want to participate. And they've done it with with as few as 6 and as many as 13. They said the 8, 9, 10 is really the sweet spot. So if we could evaluate or do a needs assessment in the community to see if there are 6 to 8 or more and families that are interested, then they'd sign on this program, and the rural CAP actually purchases the property. It needs to be ready to develop, but they'll purchase the property, and those families all sign off to put in 35 hours a week per family, and they work on all the houses. So all the houses kind of get built together. And then once they're done being built, the house gets signed over to a family with a low interest, a really, really low interest mortgage. And they take possession of the home. So I did mention that to Crystal with SVT. I know that that's something that's a priority for them, and that may be something that that's another collaborative partnership for the future. We'll hopefully move forward with some meetings and look at those needs and see if that is a program that'll meet the needs of our community. Otherwise, there are some other programs that we're still looking at as well. And Tsunami Ready, we did submit our application to be Tsunami Ready, so I'm waiting to hear back from that. CDS requests, you guys received the new construction costs. We're looking at CDBG and other opportunities for that gap funding. Tsunami brochure is coming along. We had a great meeting with Mark Ball and Brett Higman to do the initial drawing of the evacuation line. And then there's a few key stakeholders that are going to be impacted that we're going to go out to individually and speak with before drafting the brochure. And then we'll get back together, work on language, make a draft brochure, and then hold some community meetings on a broader scale to get public input along with a public input period. And personnel policies and legal review, Geskimo is scheduled to be disposed of. That's something we've been working on. And everything else, I think we've discussed. So please let me know if you have any questions.
Does anyone on council have questions for its city manager or comments?
Sorry, Madam Chair, I do have a error. The subcommittee meeting is actually this week on Wednesday, not next week.
Right. Okay, thank you. I think the idea of the rural cap housing program is a really, so when are you thinking about that happening, a meeting in Seldovia? Is that too far away, or?
Right now, we need to assess the needs of the community first. So we're gonna meet with SVT and a few other key stakeholders in the community. And then if it looks like there's potential, if there's land, if there's desire for it, then we can move on and have a community meeting and do a bigger assessment and evaluation.
Okay, so with the assessment, that's how people can find out about what's available, the information, as opposed to having Rural Cap come and give a presentation and get people interested and then do an assessment at that point.
Yeah, I think it will be doing it throughout the whole process. So first is to gauge
Where- if there's a
stakeholder
buy-in.
and yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, thank you. Anyone else on council have a question or comment for our city manager?
It looks like Councilmember Payton has her hand up.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Peyton.
Hey, thank you. I just had a follow up on the rural cap development project. So what kind of land are they looking at? They're just looking at like privately owned land, state owned land. How does that acquisition happen?
That's a great question, and I can go back to them and find out more. But from my understanding, they've had received land a variety of ways. They've had land donated, but they're also very willing to purchase land. So I would assume that means that it could be private or a public entity if their land is available and for sale, or an organization has land that they're willing to sell, they are willing to purchase.
Cool. And then is that going to, and then does that land, is it land that would be predominantly in the village or in the city or a mix of both? Is there like a blend process that could be worked on? Do we know that kind of stuff?
We don't know yet. That would be a part of the big discussion at the next upcoming meeting. There is a desire for the land that's being developed to be close. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be consecutive or right next to each other, but they do see a lot more success when there's not a lot of back and forth, and they can work in a
Cluster.
Cluster area. So I don't know if that means that there's a project out the road and a project inside the city limits. I'm not sure what that dynamic will look like or what the needs are at this point, but it's exciting that we're having those conversations to start.
Yeah, cool. So, and then my phone or my service here cut out. When you were talking about intersections, what was the work on the intersections that we're talking about?
Yes, thank you. Great question. So Kenai Peninsula Borough received a Safe Streets for All grant, and that has been finalized and includes the municipalities as well as all of the borough roads in the Kenai Peninsula. And that part of that is that they want a one-pager from each municipality that states what our specific needs are. It'll be an overall assessment of our roads in our community, but what are the things that we really want evaluated? And I was saying that some of the other communities spoke to specific intersection needs they have. Homer talked about the fact that they have two schools, or that the Kenai Peninsula Borough has two schools that are right on the major highway, and what that intersection looks like to go into those schools. Sidewalks is definitely a concern for a lot of communities. So just overall, what are those key areas in the city that we don't want missed, and we just want to make sure that are evaluated and are a part of that assessment.
Cool. Okay, so I want to make sure that I understood what you're saying. I appreciate you guys. So much work. You're so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for your report.
Thank you. Anyone else? Question, comment for our city manager? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Let's see, item O, informational items not requiring action, we have none. P, executive session, we have none. Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. And I'll just go down the list here. Peyton?
Yes, thank you. Bobby, it's gonna be so weird not having you out here. I'm sorry that I'm not there to give you a hug. You're so appreciated. I hope that you continue to come in and have an opinion about things and participate, or just holler at us on the street. But you're wonderful. You've served for many years and you're a pillar in our community and we appreciate you. And I guess thank you to the community for trusting me to continue to advocate for the community. But anyways, welcome Muggs. And yeah, again, Bobby.
Thank
you're
you,
gonna be
Harmony.
missed. You're so awesome.
Appreciate that. I'll be around. Don't you worry.
Keithley,
No comment tonight.
Miss Sweat.
Well, it's a good thing this was a pretty short meeting, huh? So, well, I got a few things to say. First of all, I want to thank everybody for supporting me all these years, all these many years. One thing I have to say that in all my years on council, and having been through a lot of city managers, I think you guys are on the right track with Heidi. She's really good in her job, and she cares about the community, and I think you guys are doing a really good job with moving the community forward. And I just like the council to, you know, when you make decisions and think about things and do the job that you were elected to do, that you do the right thing. I want to particularly say thank you to a few people, for Heidi for always letting me come in and bug her. Darlene Crawford for the late night texts, for Vivian being the voice of reason always. And what can I say to my son, who's put up with my many outbursts and what have you, and is still speaking to me and still likes me, I think. I don't know about that. I have to ask him every week if he still likes me. And anyway, congratulations to the new folks and congratulations to my son again. And I'll be around. I hope I can continue to volunteer doing little things. And yeah, so it's been interesting. Thanks.
Thank you, Bobby. And I will skip over to Mr. Kennedy.
Have anything further this evening? Thank you.
Miss Swick.
No comment.
Okay, I'll go back to myself then. Well, Bobby, I'm gonna miss you a big time. And how many years were you on? Do you know? We were on so many years, it's hard to remember.
9 years on council. And I think I spent, gosh, I don't really remember because it was really horrible. I spent a year or two on planning.
Oh, right. Well, you will be missed and you've been a joy to work with. I've really appreciated you and your humor and your decisiveness and your opinions. So I look forward to you outside of council chambers.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Just a couple other things. I'll be bringing to the city council through the city office information about the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, the proposal that was put together. The city council supported what we put together with AC here in town for the snagging concern. So I'll talk to the city office and we'll have something at our next meeting. And then maybe that comment, if the council agrees, that comment can be turned in to Fish and Game by the November 13th deadline. And anybody else can, I put it on Chatterbox. Anybody else can comment and vote on several issues. There's like 40 proposals that have to do with our area, Upper Cook Inlet, Lower Cook Inlet, and around commercial subsistence and sport fishing. The other concern I have, and something I think I thought really hard about is, and I'd like maybe to have a discussion with the council or about our school. The school is having a really hard time right now. And a community can't live without a school. And a community can't grow without a school. So I would like to have a discussion as to what we can do. What can we do to support Susan English School? Because I've never seen what's happening right now happen. So I'd like to have that discussion with our city manager and maybe a discussion item that maybe she and I can discuss some things and bring it to council, but I'm very, very concerned with what's going on. But other than that, thank you everyone for all your hard work you do for the city. And I'll let it go for that. Let's see, next meeting will be, regular meeting will be October 23rd at 6 p.m. And I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
And a
Second.
second, please. Do I have a second?
Yep, I second.
Okay, thank you. All right. Motion is to adjourn. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Bye, Bobby.
Night, Vivian. See you,
Good night.
Harmony.
Hey, hi, Pearlie. I saw you there too, ex-council member.